Hey, as an aside, I hope I get better at this because, trying to do a little 10-minute joint is just taking so much of my day. Um, what I want to do in this video, and I'll probably end up spending some time on on this in the newsletter going forward, but I just haven't picked up the 10th volume of the newsletter yet. So I'm just gonna, create this video. Excuse me. What I want to talk about is a line that I've seen articulated by centrists and moderates in relationship to what's going on in DC. And now I'm not just talking about what's happening like with the administration in general, with the Democratic backsliding and the authoritarian turn, but that as it's attempting to be kind of instantiated in DC itself, with not just the National Guard, but a number of red states are now sending police forces into DC. And I see that move as an attempt to take. So, political scientists have been talking about Democratic backsliding. I've begun to focus on it, and we talk about executive aggrandizement, the moves that an executive, in this case a president, makes to gradually extend power and in doing so to peel back democracy. I think the best way to think about what's going on in DC, in the city right now, is as an attempt to both divert our attention away from this broad thing, to divert our attention away from other issues that his supporters might be concerned with. Epstein files loom large here. And then, but also to kind of take that executive aggrandizement strategy and use it in cities, first in DC, and then by extension, other cities, probably with black elected officials running the show. There are 5 things that strike me about the line that's being articulated by centrists and moderates. A line that says that not only given the feeling of crime, which is different than the data says crime is going down, but given the feeling of crime in DC, that a significant portion of DC residents, including and perhaps most particularly residents in areas that are majority black and hard hit by crime and working class, that they secretly want and desire what's happening. There are 5 problems at least with this line. First is that these opinion columnists are writing without any even cursory interviews with folk in those areas. 2, the people writing don't seem to have any experience with living in these areas. Relatedly, 3, they don't have any experience with living in crime in this area, probably not even, when they were growing up in their own areas. 4, they likely have no experience with police in ways that mimic the experiences of people who are suffering from crime. And that's a complicated way of saying they don't have any negative experiences with police. And then 5, their line mirrors the line taken by entities like the Manhattan Institute, uh, and other neoconservative think tanks who've been arguing for heavy-handed approaches to dealing with social order, heavy-handed approaches that themselves often uh, have more support for order than they do democracy. That is, if to the extent that if there's a trade-off, if you've got to, you can either choose order or you can choose democracy. They're going to choose order. And in choosing order, what they're going to do is kind of articulate affective issues, fear, anxiety, in order to support that choice. Now, those 5 issues all end up having the effect of legitimating not just what's happening in DC, not just what Trump is doing in DC with the National Guard and other police forces. They end up legitimating the regime more broadly. Now, one argument that can be made against the argument that I'm making is that I'm doing it as, I guess, a tenured professor. I'm doing it, I'm in Baltimore County now. I'm not in DC. Here's a challenge with that. Not only did I grow up in a neighborhood that's a lot like the neighborhood you all write about, not only did I grow up experiencing that type of crime, it's actually, as I think about it, it's crazy the way we normalized it. But I also grew up experiencing the other side of policing. But further, I am a parent. My kids, in one way or another, have dealt with that violence. And police were in my kids' schools. So when you are making that claim, or when this line is being articulated like confidently, like with their full chest, like affectively, emotionally, I'm like, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You just don't. But more importantly, I'm a number of us are doing the work to try to sustain, defend, and grow democracy. And I understand democracy is a contested concept, particularly in Black communities. But lines like this that legitimate the administration, that legitimate what's happening in DC, that delegitimate Black ideas, Black opinions. Again, these people are writing about populations that they're not talking to. They're writing about neighborhoods they probably never visited. Like, I was just there on Sunday. Like, I was in DC on Friday. I was in those wards on Sunday. And they don't seem to have any sense of what me seeing all those police forces, that the effect that had, not just on me, but likely on populations in those spaces. We've got a lot of work to do. We knew this. But a big chunk of the work we have to do is not just delegitimating the administration, but is delegitimating that centrist, moderate wing who actually has the nerve to say that the average mom in Ward 7 may actually want a National Guard to protect her kid, when in reality, the odds are that mother is more scared of that National Guard than any population of kids her kid may encounter.